There are no shortcuts to building wealth today. It takes time, effort, sacrifice, and diversification. But today, diversification means something different than it did in the past. You deserve a more secure way to protect and grow your wealth. At Delta Harbour, we take this to heart. Our mission is to help by inviting you to add physical gold and silver to your wealth strategy. Book a free consultation today and let us show you how to protect and grow your wealth through the ownership of physical gold and silver. Let us show you the Delta difference. All right. Welcome back to Hard Money. Good to have you along this week. John Scholes here, and right there, Darren Long from Delta Harbour. You want to reach out to Delta Harbour Assets anytime, talk about your position when it comes to physical metals, gold and silver. Really easy, right? 1-877-323-GOLD, deltaharbor.com. Harbor with you, because this investment, this idea, this expansion of your portfolio and wealth is always about you. So deltaharbor.com. And of course, youtube.com/Delta Harbour. They have their own channel, and these video casts / radio broadcasts are put up there as well. So you can check them out anytime you like. I guess it is seasonally correct, Aaron, the season's greetings gold and silver edition of the show today. How are you, pal?
Well, John, and busy.
Mm-hmm.
We are swamped. I took a break from helping out with the order desk, and our online sales have been strong this week. But of course, we are taping on Thursday, and here we are, lo and behold, once again with a buying opportunity before we take a break for the holiday season. No matter what you celebrate, we want to welcome you to this week's show. Some are early into it, so a happy Hanukkah to those that have already started, with the rest of us waiting for Christmas and Kwanzaa and all the other various festivals about to start. And to those traveling, travel safe. But this was a busy week, John, and there's lots to talk about. This is a show about the holiday season, and usually every year around this time, we take break to, instead of talking all about the relentless pursuit of understanding economics around the world, answer questions that our clients have posed to us via email, that potential clients have posed to us. So this show is all about them and the questions that they've been asking as of late. We're going to try to get through a half dozen or so of those questions today on the show.
Going to be really cool. And you want to reach out, by the way, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, simply Delta Harbour, Harbor with the U. You can follow along as well. And 1-877-323-GOLD, deltaharbor.com is the website. More contact information is there. It's stocks continue around the world. You see the TSX or the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, whatever you're following, those shaky ground, along with a number of major assets like cryptos taking a kick in the pants, fluctuating currencies. This doesn't seem to stop, but it's rearing its ugly head again this week. Nearing a change at the top. What do you think?
I think we are. And like I say every week now, the story is unfolding right before our eyes. John, gold and silver took a breather over the last 4 days and are both bargains right now. Gold sitting comfortably in the 1770 range as we tape here on Thursday, while silver is holding tight in a bargain buying opportunity of the week type of range at around 2240-ish. And that for me is fantastic. And hopefully by the time this show is listened to on the weekend, you'll see both metals have risen back up out of those range. It just doesn't get any better this time of year. So we thought again that we do and take client questions that have been asked over the last few weeks and answer them here on the show. Hopefully give a little bit of perspective as to exactly where we are.
I don't think I've ever plugged an email address for you, Darren. Is there one people can use? I've never plugged it.
Yeah, sure. Of course.
Okay.
Absolutely. If they want to get a hold of me directly, they can just use D as in Darren Long, L-O-N-G at deltaharbor.com. That's D Long at deltaharbor.com. Or go to our website and use any of the various email addresses that are there to contact us.
Again, you can contact directly, guys. Just use the phone number 1-877-323-GOLD. But as promised by Darren on this edition, let's get to our first question. This is great. I get to read these. All right. Question number one. Why do central banks own gold, but none of our banks ever talk about it in a positive light or encourage ownership of it?
It's a great question, and it's one we get asked frequently nowadays, given the amount of media attention that's going to that within our realm, within the realm of gold and silver, and what we read and the analysis that we bring to the table each week. So it is a very poignant question, because it seems to be like the truth is being hidden, say one thing, but do another. And John, one of my favorite topics is talking about what's behind the headlines. And here's another example of that. The headlines from central banks around the world are never to own or buy gold. Nobody talks about it. We don't hear any of our major institutions talking about it. But the number one reason central banks around the world own gold is for protection, protection, protection.
Nice.
They use it to back their foreign currencies, to back themselves as countries. And of course, most of the banks act as tools or an extension of the nation state. So in essence, it is the country themselves that is relying on the central bank policy. And as a result, yes, central banks around the world do buy gold and have been net buyers of gold since about 2009. And not only do they use it for protection, but they use it as a currency. It's an alternative way to pay for goods or commodities in some parts of the world. And people may find that a bit of a difficult concept to grasp. How do I actually physically take a bar of gold and pay for something? It's not in the retail sense, but these are large transactions in the millions and tens of millions of dollars, say for oil or another commodity or type of import from another country, and they'll use gold to pay for it. And that happens on a regular basis. It's there for wealth. It's used to enrich the country's profile, both in economic terms as well as standing within the global community, because they have also a primary responsibility to promote a stable economic growth, especially in North America. When you look at the likes of North American Free Trade Agreement, and which is now titled something different, with Canada, the US, and Mexico, there is certainly the largest gold holder in the world in that partnership in the US. And these institutions hold gold as one of their reserve assets. And any gold held by a central bank around the world as a reserve asset is classified as monetary gold. So this is not something that is used to being said around the world. We don't talk about gold as a monetary asset, but it's deemed by central banks as such. It is, in addition to that, being a monetary gold. Central bank reserve assets include such things as foreign exchange assets, such as US dollars, which is a reserve currency. Also, what they call the IMF, or International Monetary Fund, special drawing rights, or SDRs. It's another form of asset used to exchange, or a medium of exchange between countries. In general, reserve assets held by central banks are managed according to the criteria of safety, liquidity, and return, and are considered what we call top tier assets. So these are tier one assets. And in fact, gold is a tier one asset. The United States, in terms of the largest gold holders in the world, central banks, that is, United States, Germany, Italy, France, Russian Federation, China, Switzerland, Japan, India, and Turkey, in that order, are the largest holders of physical gold in the entire world. Now, for those listening, they're going to ask the question, well, where does Canada rank? Well, we don't rank anywhere. We rank probably around 100th in the world with our paltry little tiny bit of gold that we actually have in our central bank. And thanks to Trudeau, who sold the last little bit that we did have, we are ranked down there in a meaningless group of countries. And there are many small countries that have a fraction of the population that we have that have way more. And basically, they no longer needed it. So basically, we got rid of it. And that is a fallacy. We definitely need gold as a central bank. We're resource rich. We should own lots of it in Canada.
Well, I mean, the next question, obviously, I'm going to throw at you after the short break, but that seems like a lot of countries who have got a beat on it. 100th. I mean, that's, imagine being the 100th guy in a 100-meter race. Weak. Nobody's going to remember you. I mean, that's just the way it is. And we got to address that for sure when we come back, and we will, but we got to get into our first break for the day. And we'll do that. You want to reach out to Darren and the team anytime. Really simple. 1-877-323-GOLD. That is the number. DeltaHarbor.com, Harbor with a U. And you can reach Darren D. Long at DeltaHarbor.com as well, or just go to the website. Lots of information there, including the e-store, which you can use to begin purchasing right away. And we'll continue with this close to year-end holiday edition of Hard Money. We've got a couple more to go, but we'll take a break and be right back with lots more right here on Sauga 960. All right, welcome back. This is Hard Money, Sauga 960. Darren Long, always here with a full quiver of information for you as far as hard assets are concerned in the form of gold and silver. Those are the main ones. Physical metals you can hold, dropping your foot, they make a clang. We did that last week. I always love when you do that, Darren, with a chunk of silver. Nice looking piece, by the way, at a 10-ounce bar. Available for you, by the way, eStore. You want to go there right away and start investing, open up that side of your portfolio. Do so. DeltaHarbor.com and 1-877-323-GOLD. Couldn't be simpler. So we talked about gold and some of the wiser countries, quite a laundry list of countries that have it as a big piece of their investment. They're holding on to gold. They have tons of it. Well, lots of it anyway. We're like 100th on that list, which is really inspiring. Everything you said in the first segment, Darren, sounds great. It's real money. They have it as a hedge. They keep it. They trade it. You can buy stuff with it. So, burning question, why do our banks not advise us to hold it?
Well, I guess, John, because first and foremost, we're in a paper age. When I became a teenager in the 80s, we switched primarily from having money in our pockets, which was always the case with our folks and our grandparents, to plastic. And the onset of Interac and credit for youth and the expansion of the money supply was the reality check, really, in the 90s that we needed to get us square-footed into the 2000s, which prompted another bull market. And so I guess in this day and age, the biggest reason is because we're in a day and age of paper. Paper assets rule the world. It's the same in gold and silver. The paper market rules the pricing system. And behind the scenes, we'll talk about that because one of the questions, premiums are higher. So you never, ever can pay what the paper price of gold or silver is because there are other factors to take into consideration when you're actually buying a physical bar or coin, piece of silver or gold. I guess the second thing that I would say about that and why they tell us not to hold it, or they don't advise us anything about it or say anything about it at all, is because you can't print it, right? I mean, listen, paper assets can be printed. You can add a zero to the end. You can increase the money supply tenfold with just a stroke of a key, but I can't add another 1,000 ounces of gold just by stroke of key or by some ingenious way. I have to physically mine it, bring it out of the ground. It's tangible wealth, and people around the world that understand wealth the best, and that includes central banks, understand that there is value in something that has lasted for thousands of years. It's outlasted everything else, and it's not going to change anytime soon. They say it doesn't pay a dividend. That's another reason why you hear people downplaying it, right? But that's only if we calculate dividend in terms of fiat currency. If we think about dividends in paper money terms, sure, gold doesn't pay a dividend. But otherwise, gold pays huge dividends. It's outperformed most indices. It's outperformed real estate over the last 20 years and stocks over the past 20 years. And it's a tier one asset. I can't put my home up as an asset. I mean, here locally within our country, I can as collateral, but gold is global, right? I can't take my home and use it as collateral in most other parts of the world. It's a very difficult thing to do. Maybe the very wealthy can, but just a single home is not that. So despite the fact that it doesn't pay a fiat dividend like a stock would or anything like that, it's paid tremendous dividends in other ways. In other parts of the world, in countries like China, Russia, and in India, they're constantly telling their citizens to own gold. You can find consistent state-sponsored ads that run day and night in those countries on television, encouraging their citizens to buy and hold gold. And one of the reasons they do it is because they know gold strengthens the profile globally of their country. And so we know that despite the fact we can have uncertainty in the paper markets, holding on to that tangible asset, gold or silver, means that you have value there, like we talked about in the first segment. Gold and silver are also constantly compared to real estate, and it is said, don't buy gold because you can't live in it, right? But the fact is, you don't buy gold and silver to live in it. You buy it as a tier one asset to own, to protect your wealth and grow your wealth. And you do that in tandem with other hard assets like real estate and raw land if you're developing and speculating in those things. But gold and silver have hands down on a percentage basis when compared to speculative real estate gains. They've outperformed. They've been tremendous, and they do so without a lawyer involved, without renters, repairs, without laborers, red tape, or anything else that we don't calculate into the gains we make on our speculative real estate. So hands down, there's no reason why central banks or institutions here shouldn't tell us to own it. It's a great quality asset, and quietly banks are offering you the ability to own it, but don't talk about it. Don't spend any time, money on it because they can't control it.
So the moral of the story is you want something done right, you go out and do it yourself, right? That's the reason why you have this show and the reason why we encourage people to call and take advantage of the investment. If you haven't started yet, at least, get your toe wet, do your research, your due diligence with Darren and the team. 1-877-323-GOLD, by the way, deltaharbor.com. In the meantime, got more questions coming up from our listeners and viewers as well that have gone to the website and had lots of inquiries, made some phone calls, maybe forgot something on a phone call they wanted to ask. They could do it, and we're going to get to a bunch of those later on the show. In the meantime, how do we get some of that gold and silver on our hands, Darren, or our portfolios with Delta Harbor? Give me some options.
Well, you want to be your own bank, John. That's the bottom line.
Right.
Do it by just starting at the website. We have an e-store for smaller buyers under 5,000. Great spot to start. Our existing clients use that as a starting point to gain an idea of cost on product for gold and silver. All of our products are there and listed. It is live during the day, and during regular hours, you can make those purchases. It's very easy to do. If you're buying enough that it warrants safety and precaution, you want to take it a step further and increase your liquidity, being able to buy and sell by phone, then you can add it to a storage account, which means you can store your product locally, come and visit it. You can do video audits if you happen to be out of province. You can also rest assured that it's insured 100% fully, every ounce, and every account is going to be taken care of the same way it would be if you take it home or if you store it. You get access to us 100%, and you can buy and sell by phone. If you want to take that a step further, John, registered accounts. Put it into your TFSA, put it into an RSP, put it into a LIRA, put it into a RIF, LIF. If you already have an existing TFSA, bring some of it or all of it over and buy gold and silver, put it in there. We'll show you how to do it. Doesn't matter whether you're got an older pension from a company that's no longer around. You maybe got a pension because you left that company, went on somewhere else, and you don't want it in where it is. We'll take them. We'll absolutely show you how to get gold and silver into your registered accounts, all of them. And if you want to go a step beyond that, you have the option of bulk bullion. You can use the financing, which we talked about last week, where you can get as much as 80% of your metal financed on your purchase. Hold back a whole chunk of your powder there to be used on a rainy day, maybe to cost average, buy another metal, maybe to put into something else short term, but to still get the power and ownership of physical gold and silver at a fraction of the price. So you've got that option as well. And in the next segment, obviously, we're going to be asked the next obvious question, John: gold or silver? Which one's better?
I because I've been doing this show and a show like this with you for so many years, I know exactly what you're going to say personally, but I know you're going to weigh both of them out for sure. So with a little bit of a bated breath, we will hang on to that question as we get into a short break here. Again, as Darren mentioned, all the options for you to buy and get that portfolio happening with our pals at Quest Trade. You got some registered accounts. It's really easy. Let them do the hard work. You just say yes and get it happening. It's almost that simple. So reach out for sure. Maybe some physical gold to take home or store it. Always a good option, right? 1-877-323-GOLD, the number, deltaharbor.com with a U, because this investment is all about you. Darren and the guys are waiting to stand by and educate you even further. And we'll get into that gold or silver question. Maybe both. I don't know. It's that time of year, season of giving for yourself as well. We'll do that after a short break. This is Hard Money on Sauga 960. Welcome back. Hard Money. Good to have you along this week. You're always learning stuff every week on this show, not just about metals itself. It's not that hyper-focused. It's about your money and economy and finance at large, which all plays to make a good reason and a good excuse to reach out further, educate yourself, get that portfolio open for some precious metals, hard assets, not paper money, physical metals that you can hold, you can put in storage, you can slide it under your bed if you're strong enough, if you got enough gold and silver to put underneath there. Not always advised, but there you go. Reach out, 1-877-323-GOLD, and deltaharbor.com is the website, and youtube.com/Delta Harbor. And if you're just getting your beak wet, up to say $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, use the e-store online as well. That is up and running 24/7. A great way from your own house to get a taste of what's to come with this part of your portfolio. But yeah, that was the question we kind of trailed off with at the end of last segment, Darren. Gold or silver? The two main options. There's other metals I know you provide, but gold and silver, which one do you prefer? Which one's better? You get that question all the time.
We do. It's the most common question we get, which is better. Client comes in, they sit down, they're going to take a chunk of their wealth and they're going to put it into gold and silver. Number one question: which one do I take? And we simply have a saying here, and it's the $1 million question that gets asked. There's no perfect answer to it, but we say gold for the golden years, and that's the bottom line for that. That means we typically think gold is a bit less volatile than silver, And so typically based on our clients and what my experience has been over the last 20 years or so is that we tend to see clients choose gold more so when they're closer to retirement or in their retirement,
Oh,
something that
wow.
they're very familiar with. It tends to be for larger portfolios of metals. You'll see clients will have a large chunk of gold. I mean, it's the world renowned. It's
Yeah.
the metal that's easy to start a conversation with. It's the break the ice metal. It's the one that people hear and see the most. But like you said, when we're talking about this, I do have a favorite. It's silver. Silver tends to
I know.
be a way to diversify and bring more speculative flavor to that wealth strategy because it is the most undervalued asset on the face of our planet right now. And that is bar none. I'll make the argument 10 times over till I'm blue in the face with any single individual in the entire world. It is hands down the bargain of the century. And I love it. I own it. I think it is a wonderful metal to own for the right person. And when you're making that decision, even if you look at silver overall, yes, it's slightly more volatile. It is the smaller of the two markets between gold and silver. And it does tend to swing in price fluctuations a little more than gold. So if you want to put your head down on the pillow at night and sleep soundly and not have to be focused every day on the silver or gold markets, then maybe you have a little more gold than you do silver. But I think, John, most people these days come to us starting with this mentality of 50-50. And then they develop an idea of what they want next by simply hearing the story of gold and silver. We'll go through all the fundamental reasons to own both. We'll talk about silver as an undervalued asset, why we believe it's undervalued, and then they fine tune that ratio. So they might say, okay, well, look, I like the idea of having a bit of silver in the portfolio. 50-50 is good for me, but the next guy might say, well, I like silver a lot. I'm in my 30s. I'm early. I've got lots of opportunity here. And as long as an investor, John, understands that they're taking risk and that every investment they make from GICs to, who cares what you're buying,
Oh, yeah.
options, futures, whatever market you're in, cryptocurrencies, it's all risk. So don't invest money you can't afford to lose. As long as they understand that, then they can decide to tilt that ratio a bit. And I think that the younger our client base gets, the more they tend to lean towards silver. I love silver. It's undervalued. So that ratio gets changed quite a bit back and forth. Closer they are to retirement, the more likely they are to tip that scale towards gold. But both are valuable assets to have. They both move in tandem and sync, if you will. And silver seems to be the slightly more speculative metal of the two.
Can you keep silver for your silver years? I mean, is that a thing as well? Just buy it and hold it and hang on to it?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's a brilliant way to talk about it, John. We don't really want to think of gold and silver as things that are to be day traded or
No.
even week or monthly traded, unless there's reasonable cause to assume that we've hit a peak of some sort. Now, there have been those peaks, right? We experienced peaks in 04, 06, 2008, 2011, 2020. So there were good reasons to potentially liquidate some of your holdings in favor of putting that profit into your pocket. And we like to think of that as just focusing on the principle. What did I lay out? How much do I spend? How do I protect that? But again, these are self-directed accounts. So what's best for each client is up to each client based on the expertise and discussion that we have with each of those clients. But both metals have proven completely worthy over the last 20 years, and both can make money. Gold's risen. Yeah, gold's risen from the lows of, let's say, 250 up to where it is right now at about 1770. Or that's a rise of about, unless my math is wrong, about 600%, which is give or take around in compounded interest is about an average of 10 to 11% per year in compounded interest, which is amazing. And as good as gold has been, if you factor in silver, it's also been just as good. It's up from its lows of around $3.80 when I started in this industry, up to about where its current price is, which is around 22.30, 22.40, 22.50, or about, give or take, around 480 to 490% higher, which in compounded terms is around 9.5% per year. So neither of these totals take into consideration any buying or selling that you might do. Again, not day trading, just on the peaks. But again, we've had those opportunities. They've been there and presented to us before, and they'll continue to happen.
Again, want to talk about how to get some into your portfolio. 1-877-323-GOLD. That's the number, right? DeltaHarbor.com online. That's where you'll find the e-store as well. Give me about two things right off the top that are really interesting. First of all, storage. How does that work? Where is it? How does it work for a customer? And then registered accounts again. How do we expand on those? What registered accounts can we use?
Storage accounts, very simple. They
Yeah.
are stored predominantly with a segregated company that's not owned by Delta Harbor, so as to avoid any bias in that situation.
Mhm.
Their sole expertise is storage of bullion, and it's
Love it.
all they do.
Love it.
Gold, silver, rhodium, platinum, palladium, all the various precious metals. And that is something that we pride ourselves in, having been involved with the company since day one and been involved in storage of assets for as long as I've been around in this industry. It is an easy thing to do. Our main storage facility is located in Toronto by the airport, rightfully so. Of course, if you're moving bullion around the world, you want it to be close to
You got it.
the airport. It's a good thing. And then we have storage facilities and options to store outside of there around the world. So we can place metal globally around the world. And when you call to talk to us, if you're an investor that's, let's say, more along the terms of an accredited investor or looking to expand and hold some metals outside of the country, that's an option. Easy to do for us. And we have several partners that we work with that include insurance, include allocation, include the bar numbers and serial numbers on those bars so that you can rest assured that product is in your name, in your account. And as far as the registered accounts are same on the storage front, all
Right.
done with the same company. You can put it into your TFSAs, RSPs. TFSAs are the easiest, John. We
Yep.
we we really have no excuse for not having one. If you've got investments and you don't have a TFSA open right now, you're qualifying, depending on your age, for as much as 75,500 into a TFSA, which
Yeah.
means you protect all of your capital gains and keep them tax free. And you can take bullion out of there and out of any registered account instead of taking cash. So the option to pass it on to the next generation, really easy. So that option is there, and registered accounts are an easy way to do that.
Again, more questions coming down here. We'll get to those. A lot of listeners, a lot of viewers have been asking them over weeks. If you want to email Darren D. Long, L-O-N-G, D. Long at deltaharbor.com, or the phone number, 1-877-323-GOLD. And the website, of course, deltaharbor.com as well. We'll continue Hard Money on Sauga 960. All right, welcome back. This is Hard Money. Good to have you along this week. John Scholes here, along with Darren Long, giving you the information. It's all about education for this complete hour. And then eventually you'll probably want to seek out more information from Darren and the crew, possibly start a wee portfolio. And if you want to do that up to, say, $5,000, your initial investment, simply go to the e-store, deltaharbor.com, to begin that. You can reach out with a phone call if you want to have a chat first, get more information. Do your due diligence like you should be doing with every investment that you seek. It's 1-877-323-GOLD, deltaharbor.com to get a hold of Darren and the crew. Delta Harbor with a U. We talked about gold and silver. What's the preference? You laid that one out pretty quickly. A lot of people just go 50-50 until they get a preference, maybe a little later on in their investing future with these metals. But next question you always get, Darren, bars, coins, silver, gold, bars, coins. What do you prefer?
Well, first off, I would say I used to always answer this by saying I like bars better, but
Okay.
getting to know clients that I have, and depending on where in the world you're watching or listening to this, again, locally here, it might be that you choose bars like I do, and for the reasons that I do, which I find typically that bars are less expensive. When we get into the smaller bar types, when we go into 1 ounce, let's say silver, or 1 ounce gold versus 10 ounce bars,
Mhm.
there's always that case. But when we get into the micro portions, they only happen in gold. So below 1 ounce, we really don't get any weight or measurement consistent in silver that would meet our standards. So 1 ounce bars and coins are the smallest typically in the silver category that we have. In gold, however, you have to look at the mainstays of why we're buying, right? You have to consider what is the reason why you're buying. Some people buy for different reasons, and typically I would say that bars are going to be the best and most economical way to hold gold and silver. Both are tangible, the gold bar and the gold coin. Both have our confidence as a firm, and I would say other firms that deal in them have that same confidence, level of confidence. They both have ease of use, meaning they can be both bought and sold without delay. There's no difference in buying or selling or finding a partner to buy and sell with. It's easy. They're liquid, most liquid assets in the face of the planet. And as I said, bars are going to be less expensive on the whole when you're dealing in 1 ounce and higher. Coins have more landed cost to them.
Sure.
Typically, when we're dealing in coins, we're talking about only the one major coin that we deal in, which is the maple leaf, both in the gold and silver variety. And coins typically have artwork royalties. They typically have royalties to the queen, which means they have slightly higher cost. And they have higher fabrication costs. The mints typically land those in what are called blank rounds. So they get their gold and silver rounds, basically come to them with nothing on either side, and then they have to stamp them. But because they're using another outside source to make those rounds, it means they're paying a slightly higher amount for those coins.
Wow.
But a bar of gold can be broken into, before we get there, purity. Again, both bar and coin are pure. In our gold options, all of our gold is 24 karat, or what we would call 99.99% purity.
Wow.
In silver, they would all be 999 or 99.9% purity or higher. And again, both are going to be the standard that is completely liquid around the world globally. So in terms of bar or coin, you needn't worry if you want to buy or sell those. We use product which is LBMA approved, which is consistent in its weight and its purity, comes from recognized manufacturers, mints, fabricators like the Royal Canadian Mint, the American Mint, and so on and so forth. But bars is one thing that we don't think of that's a little more easy to do. And I wouldn't have said this a few years ago, John, but because of what's happening in Venezuela right now, we talk about it more frequently. Iran has experienced bouts of inflation, and Cyprus and Greece more recently, big problems in their economies. But Turkey is a very large holder of gold on the world stage. They're in the top 10. So that economy is actually seeing a rise in the amount of bullion being used, gold in particular, to pay for items, to pay for food, to pay for commodities, to pay for transactions. And they are using gold over coin to typically be transacting, because bars can be broken down into measurable, weighted, consistent, and pure bits. Coins are available in smaller amounts down to the 1/20th ounce, but typically those bars come in handy when you can break them down.
Fascinating stuff. Again, it's all about the education, right? Reach out to Darren anytime and talk a little more about this to just get you more comfortable with the whole process. 1-877-323-GOLD and deltaharbor.com. You mentioned coins. I think a lot of the reason why people opt for the coin option is maybe it's for gifting, right? Maybe they're spreading them around to their kids, family, friends. Do you guys do much in the way of gifts for clients, buying that goes out to friends, family in the form of gifts, be it small bars or big bars, whatever, if you're in the mood?
We are right now.
Coins as well,
I talked to a client just this morning who buys on the regular very large amounts. So he buys what are called monster boxes. These are boxes of silver that come with 500 coins to the box in tubes of 25. And he buys those on a frequent basis, and he has a reward system. So he has rewards in his business, which he's the owner and entrepreneur of, for his employees. These tubes as rewards. He gives them to family. Grandkids are a big thing this time of the year, and he talks to them about the value of money. And so he talks about the difference between paper and physical product. I put together little videos for him, which I'm happy to do for anyone, that will be able to be used to decipher and help educate those that are getting them passed on as presents, and it keeps it liquid. If we're dealing with the client and forming a relationship, it's easy to do. So we have 1 ounce maple leaf coins in gold and silver. We have the 1 ounce gold bars, which are sealed, vacuum sealed, with the serial numbers on the bars. We have the 10 ounce silver bars, again, that come in a small plastic case that is also sealed, and lots of gifts, local pickup, and we go out of our way. I mean, again, it's about giving, John, this time of year, and we want to be at the top of the list when it comes to being recognized as good givers. And that's what we do. We talk to people about gifts, and we help them put it together. We put a little thing into the box that's being sent to the person receiving, and we make it so it's easy to gift wrap and give to that loved individual. So gifts this time of year, John, they're huge. They're huge, and it's something that we do frequently. My dad came in the office this week. He wants to give his partner a gift, and hopefully she's not listening to the show right now, but if she is, sorry, I gave up the gift, but it's the first time he's ever done it. My dad's been in the business, and knowing I've been in the business for a long time, he's retired now and living his golden years, the best years. He's going to be giving gold as a gift this year. So wonderful thing to do. So absolutely, gifts are great.
And I would imagine that, if people want to just move on this for their kids, it's a nice little starter to. You mentioned a cool thing there about teaching your kids about money, and this is a good way to do it. Get them a few coins in their stocking or whatever, and just sit down and explain how it works and how this used to be the monetary standard, and gold was, been around for thousands of years, so on and so forth. Like we preach on the show. It's a really cool idea. I want to talk about the e-store after we come back from a break, Darren. I know we got to slide into one quickly here, but this is a great option for people as well. Not that they don't want to call and talk to you and go through the whole process, but if they want to sidestep Darren Long, they have an option. I'll tell you how to do that would be through the e-store, but those details and more are coming up. In the meantime, here's the number, 1-877-323-GOLD, deltaharbor.com. You want to spell harbor with a U anytime as well, and reach out, have a chat, and start that part of your portfolio. We'll continue. This is Hard Money on Sauga 960. This is Hard Money, Sauga 960. So good of you to join us. If you've caught the show before, you've probably learned lots since the inception of the show months and months and months ago. As we get to year end, this is a good time to revisit your portfolio and see if you've got the assets of precious metals in there. If not, good way to start. We just finished the last segment talking about gifts. Maybe for yourself, get yourself a little bit of silver, gold in a small bar or coin form, just to get a taste of what it's all about. Buy it, hold it, and sleep on it till you're ready to retire. Your golden years, just add to it. That's the way you want to do that. Again, bars, coins, they do it all. Reaching out, 1-877-323-GOLD, deltaharbor.com. But that brings me right down. That's how we do it in radio. We tease everything, right, Darren? To the e-store. Tell me about it, pal.
The e-store is simple, John. It's a great spot to start. And if you go onto our site, under the product section, it'll direct you right there. And the e-store is in Canadian and US dollars. So you can shop in either currency.
Love it.
The ease of transaction is pretty simple. It's straightforward. It's what you've come to expect with most e-stores. We like to get to know our clients, so we ask that they open up an account and get set up the proper way so that we can keep an ongoing collection of information for them, their invoices and whatnot, all be right at their disposal when they need it most, and to obviously develop a relationship so that future purchases, and as the ongoing relationship gets bigger and bigger, are all there in one spot, easy to see. But you can make purchases of gold, silver. We have the bill payment option and ease of payment, so you can set us up as a bill payment option. You can do all kinds of easy transactions. If it's larger transactions over 5,000, we can do wire transfers. We can do checks. We like to clear them first before we make a purchase, but that's an option as well to put into the account and get funded and going. But really just an easy online option there for people who don't want to be caught up in the bustle and the talk and what we share with our clients every week. They just want to go straight to it and buy the gold, buy the silver they want, take delivery. Easy to do, and the e-store is great for that.
E-store, and again, always make that phone call. You want to talk a little more, get a little more comfortable with the process. You can't sit down for 10, 15, 30 minutes, an hour with Darren, whatever. Reach out and do that. D-Long at deltaharbor.com. Email address, Darren. We've been getting through a bunch of questions from listeners and viewers of the show on YouTube as well. Next one, love this question. Do you believe the rest of the world, Darren, is slowly starting to realize that there's a lot more risk in the economic system than they thought? Let's just point to Venezuela.
Yeah. No, John, I don't think people are realizing it. To be honest with you, if they did, then the amount of gold and silver exposure in people's portfolios would be tremendous in comparison to what it is now. But as far as globally managed assets are concerned, gold and silver account, either paper or physical, account for about maybe 1.5 to 2% of all globally managed assets. So there's nowhere near a peak in the interest for gold and silver, which means prices are going much, much higher. Each time you see a bull market over the last 100 years, you can expect at least 15 to 20%. The highest coming in the 70s, which is around 26% when gold hit its all-time high back then. and it did so. Gold and silver rose to their all-time highs, both of them equally in January of 1980. And most of those gains were in the last 90 days of that bull market. So
Wow.
this is a long way to go from where we are right now. But if you look at the system as a whole, John, I want to try to keep this show as positive as possible, but we have to talk about the elephant in the room. There has been a massive rise in asset prices, an even bigger global attempt to stimulate the economy after COVID-19. And the world has never been in this scenario with this much dependence on debt without any backing whatsoever. I mean, most of these countries don't have anything backing all this money that they're printing. So fiat currencies are going buck wild right now, being printed out at paces we've never seen before in the trillions and trillions of dollars. It's mind-boggling. You can't even grasp the concept anymore. And you have to, counter that with understanding that we've had near zero interest rates. We've had excessive amounts of money and credit expansion throughout the world. You're looking at inflation no longer being transitory. Everybody's admitting to it now. We called it first right here on this show. We said it.
Yeah.
I went on YouTube and shows and was interviewed by people almost a year ago and several years back, talking about the onset of what we called back then the loss of purchasing power, which was just that things were getting more expensive. But global central banks, corporations, consumers, they jumped into the easy money rally and they ignored the ongoing risks. So yeah, sure, stock markets rose. It was heydays. Everybody's making money left and right on real estate. That all comes to an end. John, doesn't matter whether real estate rises next year or the year after that. It's slowing as we speak right now, and easy money has to end because interest rates have to go higher. And we still have these ongoing fears of what COVID might or might not be in the near future. We want to get away from this. So we've neglected to look at those long-term impacts of money printing and low interest rates, which have been artificially low. And now we have to worry about stock prices falling. We have to worry about possible global contagion from any other market that could trend lower, like the Chinese market with Evergrande and their debt problems right now. And who's not going to be paying their bills first? And we'll see where that happens, John. But as far as I'm concerned, no, people are not paying attention to the ongoing risks. Otherwise, gold and silver would be through the roof. So my advice is get it while you can with these bargain basement prices.
Again, 1-877-323-GOLD is the number. What factors, I guess, contribute to the cost of purchasing bullion?
That's a great question, John. It's one that our clients do also ask very often. We touched on it a little earlier, but ultimately the retail price of gold bar or gold coin is based on the international gold and silver market prices, which vary daily by the second. B, a premium, which is added to these prices to cover manufacturing, the fabrication, the royalties we talked about on the coins, the bars, transportation from the mints and the suppliers, and delivery. Of course, all those things are taken into consideration. And then additionally, each bullion dealer like Delta, based on their relationship with the mint and how low they can acquire product from those, unfortunately, we get them pretty low here at Delta, they will add on their little bit of premium to have an income for the dealer, and you get your final product cost. So on our website, when you're looking at that final price, if it's a purchase over 1,000, there are no additional costs. That's it. You're paying the price you see that you get. It's locked in. That's your price. If, however, you're buying less than $1,000, tack on a flat rate fee of around $35 for shipping to anything you buy, and that's how you get your final price for gold and silver.
It's good as we kind of get into the minutia here a little bit of buying these assets, but do you pay HST or GST on either metal?
Again, another great question. There are zero purchase taxes on gold and silver when bought through Delta Harbour Assets.
Really?
No HST or GST. In Canada, gold bullion is considered an investment vehicle and is exempt of purchase tax when the gold is a minimum of 99.5% purity, and in silver when it reaches a minimum of 99.9% purity, which all of our product is. So there are no GST or HST on those products at all. You can buy and pay the final price that you see on the website when you're buying it or when we quote it to you over the phone.
All the years we've been doing this show, I never thought to ask that question. I never knew the answer. I can't believe that's so bizarre. There's no tax on it. That's nice. You know, the final price and what the final price is what it is. That's all right.
That's it.
So I got the gold. I bought the silver, didn't pay tax on it. Loving it. Gonna hold it. Was planning to hold it forever. But where do I sell the gold and silver that I bought from you guys?
Well, the general recommendation is to always consistently buy and sell gold through the same bullion dealer. So if you buy through Delta, okay, sell it through Delta. And when you're ready to go, you just bring it back to us. If it's already in storage, then it's just a phone call in a registered account or in a storage account. And selling is easy, as generally as quick in terms of acquiring a price as it is to buy for selling. And as a rule of thumb, when product is in normal supply, we would basically be offering spot price, which is the paper price of silver or gold, less 1 or 2% for our premium to stay alive and put some food on our table. Mm-hmm. And when product is in high demand, when we need that product and you're looking to sell that product, we'd be generally offering spot plus 1 or 2%. And we feel that by creating a relationship, John, with Delta, we tend to be able to be more flexible in pricing on both the buy and sell side and have more incentive to keep our clients happy. It's best to find dealers that have a reputation of providing excellent customer service. And as everyone knows, Delta, that's their primary focus. It's what we do. Without the client, we don't exist, and we take that to heart. You'll see at the bottom of every single email I send out, there is a quote about the importance of customer service. If you're a client listening, I urge you to read the bottom of that email. I take it to heart. It is meaningful to me, and I do everything in my power to make sure that our firm focuses on our customer service.
It's a good way to wrap it up for another week, brother. You want to reach out again, you mentioned email. We have this entire show, DLong at deltaharbor.com as well. The phone number is always a good place to start. Have that conversation, 1-877-323-GOLD. DeltaHarbor.com is the website where you'll find the e-store as well. Much more reading and education to be done. That's Harbor with a U. And then finally, you can reach out on YouTube and watch some of these past shows that you hear on the radio as well. YouTube.com/Delta Harbor. Also on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook as well under Delta Harbor. Till next time, hard money right here on Sauga 960.